Right, so hello and welcome back to yet another episode. On today's episode, it's the one that everyone's been waiting for, and it's putting the battery into the boot. Stay tuned. Right, so as I said in the intro, this is the highly anticipated putting the battery into the boot on the Polo. First things first, going to disconnect the battery, get all the fuses off the top, and then figure out how we're going to route the cabling through the bulkhead into the rear or into the boot. Right, so if you do this on a Polo or a golf platform, it's normally a 10mm and a 13mm. 10mm for each terminal, 30mm to get the battery out, and then the 13mm to get the actual battery tray out. Right, so this top piece off. Now I can take the sleeve off the battery and then get the 13mm bolt out, which is just down here. I'll show you in a second. So there's the bracket. Now the battery should just come free. So this is the bottom of the battery tray. There's one 13mm, two 13mm, three. One there, one there, one there. This battery tray needs to go. Obviously then we've got all this space here. This fuse box on top, we need these two. That's a little fuse box, that's a big one. The actual surround we don't need, but we're going to cut that off in a minute with a Dremel. Let's get this battery tray out of the way first, and then we can go from there. Right, so all the bolts about the battery tray, it's got all that out now. So right, we don't need that anymore. That is surplus to requirements. Right, so you can see the engine mount down here. It's covered in tin foil for heat shielding properties. We'll gloss over that. So what we need to do, we need to get the negative wire and the fuse box wire out of here, and then obviously save the fuse box as well and get rid of this plastic sort of shroud. So under here should be some tabs. It's got to push them to the right and the left, and these should slide out. Right, so that's one side off. It has been broken, but it's not going back on, so it don't matter. And the other ones go. There we go. Right, so that's off. Now the fuses are free. This is the, I don't know if you can see it on camera, that's the positive terminal, so that needs to come off, and then these need to be spay terminaled up. So give me a moment. Right, so I'm going to cut here. Probably using the wrong tool, but so that's that one off. Now that's the rest of the surround off, so don't need that. So now you've got your fuse box with a wire coming off of it. You've got this one here, which I assume goes to the back of the starter motor. Certainly looks like it. So that's back of the starter motor wire. That is the fuse box wire. They go into a three-way junction box along with this. Right, so without mansplaining too much to you, you're going to have 3 wires. You're going to have one coming from the fuse box, which is located here. That's going to go to the junction box. So this is a 3-way junction box. Battery, or the cable that's going to the battery to the boot, is going to go to the middle terminal. It doesn't matter which one it goes to, but I'm putting it to the middle. The second cable will be from the fuse box, so that's going to go to the bottom cable, and then the battery cable that comes off the starter, or the cable that comes off the back of the starter, will go to the last terminal. So you've got three cables, one from the starter, one from the fuse box, and then one to the battery. There you're free. That's it. That's all you need. And to make things easier on the Polo, the fuse box and the starter motor battery, or the starter motor cable, are already joined. That's the one I cut off just a minute ago. So the fuse box that sits on top of the battery, like that, and the starter motor, they're already both linked in to the positive terminal. So all you've got to do is cut them off individually and then put a connector on them to then put onto the junction box. Simple as that. So that's the theory. Let's go and do the practical. Right, so I'm not sure where you're going to see this, but I've labelled them up. This is the fuse one, comes off the fuse pack, obviously. This goes directly to the starter motor. I've chased all the wire back through all the convoluted tubing. That goes to start. As I said before, these were connected, so I've cut them off. That needs a sort of ring end on it. I need to cut that off, and that needs a ring end on it too. And then that's when they go to the junction box. So I need to put 3 ring ends on, one to the actual cable going to the battery, one on the fuse end, cut that off and put one on the starter end. Got it? That's where they are. You've got the big one, and then you've got 3 sort of 2 medium ones and 1 little one. The little one can go on the fuses, or I'll probably have to do the 2 medium ones on the fuse box and onto the actual starter motor cable down there, and then the big one's gonna have to go onto the positive. No, you don't need to use this, but this is a crimping tool for these connectors. This is a 35, so all you do is adjust the teeth, if you can see that properly, onto 35, and then that should crimp it properly. You don't need to do this, you can use a vise or some grips, but this does help. Right, so as you can see, that's not going anywhere. The terminal's all now on nice and tight. So now I've got to cut that one off and then do the same to this one. So that's the old positive terminal, don't need that. Right, so now we're ready to crimp the starter motor wire. Right, so that's secure, that's not going anywhere, so that's them 2 done. That's got the smaller one on, that's got the, well, that's got the 25, that's got the 35. They're both secure. You can tin these as well, but I'm not going to bother with that today. Right, so that's freshly cut. Before I heat shrink the other ones, I might as well do this one first. Right, so this will require the big 50 connector, because this is a bigger gauge of wire. Hang around there, nice and neat, until it hits the end, and then I've got to reset the crimpers to 50, just pushing in it, or pushing in the tab. So you see 50 up here, and 50 there. So you've got 50-50, that's for a 50 connector. Right, so we have all three ready to go. Fuse box, starter, and the new one. Just got to mount the junction box inside the engine bay. Now, VW have kindly done this. So, junction box can go there, maybe to the side a little bit, just offset so there's no vibration, or even over here. Either way, I think I'm going to go over here. That way we can connect all three of them up, no issue. Right, so I know it's difficult to see, but it's literally just going to be a spring washer and a MA nylock just to hold that junction box in place, and then we can start putting the cabling in and tidying up the engine bay. Right, so use some fire to heat shrink all these connectors up. And that's finally the last one. Right, so now they're all heat shrunk and this junction box is on, we can get on with actually feeding the cables in properly and getting them on the posts. Now it's very important they don't touch each other on the posts, otherwise you have a short. I mean, they're all positive terminals, so it shouldn't matter too much, but you don't want anything really touching like that. They're all going into the same junction box, but it's just practice. Right, so that's the big positive cable going to the boot. Next up is the starter. Starter motor wire can go next to it. Starter motor wires next to it. Now finally the fuse box cable. The fuse box can sit under here. Cable can go there. I'm going to have to figure out what to do with this fuse box in the near future. It sort of sits in the way a little bit. Right, so the fuse box can sit there for a moment. Right, so we've got the starter motor coming in here, that's the battery to the boot, and this is the little fuse box. I'm probably going to extend that wire in the future so I can have this fuse box mounted somewhere like neatly out of the way over here somewhere. But for now, I need to tidy up all this cable in here, and then we can move into the boot. Right, so that is all of the engine bay cleaned up, all of the fuse boxes here, that's on, everything cable tied together and secured. So that's going to be sorted out at a later date. Now we've just got to follow this cable up here, and it goes through where the bonnet catch. Oh, the grommet's gone a little bit skewed with. Now this is where the bonnet catch would be, or the bonnet cable would be. So this is a right-hand drive model. This is for a left-hand drive model. So it just goes through here under the scuttle. Make sure you put a grommet or the metal wheel cut through it, and then it comes out behind the dashboard. It comes out. So there's your glove box, comes out under here. So what I did is I took all this trim off and the wire goes under here. There's a perfect little channel for it. Now, I didn't need to, but I did take the passenger seat out and pop this off. Oh, look, some old mayonnaise, don't need that. This pops off, and then it goes up here, and you can just see where the plastic's bowing out. That's where it goes. It goes up here, and then under the passenger seat. And it comes out here. Now, I've put a little clip there, just to hold it intact for a while, and then you can get yourself the cable into back. Now, you'll see that I've weatherproofed some of these bungs, and they've been siliconed in as well. You'll see some holes. That's where something was prototyping, or prototyping, that didn't work. But what I'm going to do, put the battery tray in, then we can get the connectors sorted, we can get the fuse in line, and then sort out a nice earth, ready for everything to be fitted inside the... Right, so this is the battery tray I'll be using. It's just a generic battery tray with 2 clamping points. I've already drilled the holes for it, so they line up. Here, here, and here. This one's got like a little riveter in it just to keep it off of the actual metalwork. I'm not going to put a bolt on that just yet because I haven't got all the right fasteners. So I've got 1, 2, 3, that'd be perfectly fine. And then the battery can come in, positive, negative, done. So let's get that bolted in and then we can go from there. Right, so these are the fasteners, 3 dome heads. They just go into the holes already pre-drilled. And then going underneath, just 3 M8s. I'm going to put some silicone around these so it's sort of watertight to the elements. Other than these holes here, they'll be dealt with separately. Right, so now the batteries are all in and secure, I'm not going anywhere. We now need to route the cable, put the fuse in line so it doesn't blow the car up, and then connect the negative. But first, we're going to put some sort of clips up the side of the car to hold the cable in nice and neat. Obviously, don't start drilling for anything, not just your car, anything else without knowing what's on the other side. I know there's nothing on the other side of this panel, so it's safe to drill through. Obviously, if you're anywhere near the fuel tank or any brake lines, be careful before you drill, because there's a fine line between knowing what you're doing and killing people because you drill through the brake line. Okay? Right, so as you've probably just seen on the time lapse, it comes in here, and the positive terminal is clipped there. That's the fuse, 200 amp fuse, big ceramic breaker. Another one there, a little clip to hold it, and then we have the positive terminal ready to go on. Now, we've just got to do the negative terminal and hope that that's a so that is the earth cable made up. That is the side that goes onto the battery terminal, and that's the side that's going to go to the chassis. Just need to make sure that the chassis, all the paint is missing, so there's a good ground. Right, so now the earth point's cleaned up, we can now try to see, hopefully, fingers crossed, that there's power to the car. Got to dig these terminals up. But that's a 12 now, not a 13. That's not going anywhere. Now we can get the terminal and ground it in here. Right, so that's secure, that's not going anywhere. Now, moment of truth is right there. So it definitely sparked. Just got to do it up now and then see if we have ignition. I've just got to fit these very nice. Well, that one wants to go that way, but I suppose it could go that way. The red one fits, this one don't really fit. But maybe it's supposed to go that way, I don't know. Stand this way now, that'll be fine. I suppose what I could do is cut this off and then make a little hole there. Probably better than having nothing over it at all. There you go, that's better than nothing for now. Now, it's all bolted in, it's all earthed up. I just need to now go and see if there's power to ignition and there's actually power to the car. One good indicator is, and I'll show you quickly, the boot light has power, so that's pretty good news. Now we're going to go to the actual driver's seat and make sure this setup can start the car. Right, so you can see it's been 4 minutes since the battery was connected, so not long at all. Let's see if we have ignition. Oh, steering lock's on. So we have ignition. And the car starts perfectly. It's saying the boot's up, which is true. I need to do some voltage checks to make sure voltage is going back into the battery. I need to check all the cables to make sure there's no shorts and nothing's getting too hot. But other than that, we look like we've done okay. Just have a quick recap and then we'll end the video. Right, so quick rundown. 3 cables into the fuse box or the splitter. The one to the battery, the starter, and then the fuse box, all here. So obviously this gives you a lot more space to fit a front mount intercooler with a BAM inlet. That's one of the main things for this battery relocation, is so you can put a really nice single pass front mount on the front, which will help the 1.8 breathe a lot better. So if we go to the back, this is the boot. Obviously, without seeing that red cable there, you'd have no idea. Under here, all cleared up, well, nearly. You've got your earth cable, you've got your positive with your big 200 amp fuse, and everything is safe and sound. So there it goes. There's the battery in the boot video. Obviously, battery in the boot. There's a boot. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've learned something. I definitely did, doing this once again. As always, thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it, please subscribe. And if you've got any more ideas for any more videos, please let me know and I'll do my best to accommodate them. As always, take care.
you.